When it comes to maternity leave, many of us assume that we'll just figure it out when the time comes and just take what we're offered. But what no one tells you is that the process is confusing, benefits are not automatic, and if you don't know how to navigate the system, you could lose thousands of dollars that you're entitled to. Today's guest, Diane Gatza, is a mom advocate and the founder of California Maternity Leave. She personally helped me and thousands of others navigate this unnecessarily complex space. As a self employed parent, I didn't even know that I was entitled to benefits until I found her. And dads, you also count. So I am thrilled to have her today to share all of this information with all of you. So let's get into it. Diane, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for being one of my fabulous clients. I'm honored to be here and be able to share this information with more parents that are out there and expecting and planning parents too.
Yeah, because when I found you, I was like, oh my gosh, why doesn't everyone know this? So I'm really happy to be able to share it because you've been so incredibly helpful for me. So I guess just to start, tell us a little bit about California maternity leave and the services that you provide for parents.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're a consulting firm based here out of California, and we help women in the state of California maximize and optimize their paid and unpaid maternity leaves. So I always say this, women have different goals, okay? And men, women, whoever, everybody's got different goals for their parental leaves. And some women are like, I want to maximize my pay. I don't care if I have a job to return to. What's the most I can get? And we help women like that. We have women who are like, no, I really care about keeping my health insurance benefits. I need to have my job to go back to. I love this job. And maybe they don't want to take the full amount, or they want to take some in increments and they want to have flexibility with their leave. We help individuals like that. And we also help self-employed, like men and women who, yes, exactly, just like you, and who are like, wait a minute. The number one thing I hear on calls is like, I had no clue. Like, is this real? Is this real? Like, I had no clue I was even entitled to anything. And then they start realizing like the business structure they're set up with allows them to collect paid maternity leave that they've been paying into that they had no idea through their taxes. So we're here to just make sure parents have all the unbiased information, and we look out for the parents, right? You might say like, oh, I'm going to my HR. They've got these great benefits. And I always say that's great. And like for sure get all the information from these lovely HR people, but I would not go based on what they say, like ever. Because I've seen many even well-meaning HR people not know everything. They don't see maternity leaves every day. It's not their bread and butter. You might be leaving something on the table, or it might not be optimized for your leave because everybody wants something different and no two are alike.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I always thought that benefits came through your employer, and I was like, well, I'm self-employed, so I didn't even think about it. And with my first, I went straight back to work. And thanks to you, with my second, I was able to actually take a proper maternity leave, and I'm just like so grateful for it. But I learned so much. I was wondering, like, do you have any sort of personal story that, like, how did you even get into this?
I went to engineering school. So, like, I'm a hashtag nerd, and I did engineering for 10 years of my career. And then I had my kids. And I remember trying to navigate maternity leave and just being like this, like going to my HR, who first at one of the companies was a gentleman and was like sharing all these misinformation. Had no clue, never had a baby,
Yeah.
didn't really care, very uninterested, really just kind of wanted me to go away. This is the vibe I got from it. And I ended up having to figure everything out on my own. And it's funny, even working as an engineer, I used to write legislation, right? So I used to work in a lot of our legal system and on water policy specifically. And so I love reading the law and writing regulations and things like that. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to go read the California government code. And then I started realizing, wait a minute, this is how this program works. And this is how these pieces come together. And I remember I came prepared, and they brought the attorneys in when they realized I wasn't going to back down. And I showed them this is what I'm going to get. I put everything together, had this big maternity leave request. I ended up making more money on maternity leave than I did working full time as an engineer for both of my maternity leaves because I got prepared. And then at this end of my second maternity leave, I actually ended up being discriminated against. So my employer tried to require me to come back to work before my leave was up. They sent me a FedEx to my home. So you can imagine with a newborn baby on my hip and receiving a letter. And they're basically noticing me saying, if I don't return in 2 weeks, they're going to fire me. And then I got an attorney And because I documented everything and I knew my rights, I had recourse, right? So I wasn't floundering or like the other women we've worked with who were like, I guess I either have to go back, you know, and suck it up, find childcare in 2 weeks and whatever, or quit. And after going through that experience, pretty much just said, fuck this. This is outrageous. Ended up leaving after going through the whole situation with the attorneys. And I started teaching women how to do this at like yoga studios, prenatal yoga classes, walking mom groups, anywhere. And then it started becoming bigger. I was going to moms' houses and hosting like small cohorts and like getting FedEx Kinko's papers to show women how to do this. And then finally brought it online, and now I've been doing it for 4 years. So yeah, it's
No,
been a
it's
journey.
amazing. And what you had to go through, I mean, so many people have to go through that. There's so much to unpack here. And I also want to be mindful that we have, a national audience here.
Yes.
And you're starting in California, and California has actually some really generous family leave laws. And I want to talk about that specifically, but just like on a macro level, like wherever you are, what are your kind of like general, like must know, like like basic, like where do we start,
Yes. Basic things. And I want to say this, I didn't even mention it, but probably when this goes live, we are actually launching our nationwide cohort of
Yeah,
California maternity leave consulting.
congratulations. So everyone listening, wherever you are in the US,
Yeah.
call Diana. She will.
Yeah.
It's like it is the best money ever spent because it just pays you back like in dividends.
Yes. I mean, and that's what we're here to do and get babies and moms the most time together to bond for secure attachment. But like, okay, let's say you just got pregnant or you're thinking about getting pregnant or you're going through IVF. I want you to know that when we think about maternity leave, there's always two pieces. Okay. There's something called protected leave and there's something called wage replacement. So basically, all you need to know is you get time off and you get pay. And where they come from, the legislation that governs them is totally separate. And we've read thousands of these documents, right? They are confusing and they're confusing on purpose. Why? Because they hope you don't ask questions about, okay, is this a time off or is this pay or is it both? Do they run concurrently? Do they run sequentially? Like, how can I stack them? Does it run concurrently with FMLA or my state leaves? It's confusing on purpose. So when you're reading through your employer documents, always try to bifurcate. Okay, is this a time off provision? Meaning, is this employer giving me time off? Meaning, yeah, I have a job to return to. I'm going to keep my health insurance. Like I have job protections that I can come back here after I'm done with my maternity if I want to. You don't have to, right? But if I want to, I can come back. So there's protected leave, which is your time off. And guess what? That has no pay, right? It's just time off that they have to hold your job for you. And the other side is wage replacement, and that's pay. And that is where you're getting your pay from. And some employers have generous policies, right? Like we see a lot of big tech companies is generally like 4 to 6 months. I would say like if you're at like a big company, 4 to 6 months is kind of where it's at. But then we see a lot of small.
For American standards, but
Right. Yeah.
we won't even go there.
But I will say this. I mean, I could do a whole segment on the most amazing benefits I've ever seen because there are some companies that are taking care of their women. But like pay, you want to look at your benefits and say, okay, is this employer paying me? And is it coming from them or is it coming through an insurance company? Okay. And like, so state of California, where we, acquired your benefits from, it's the state of California. They're operating an insurance company. But all of these companies that we work for also carry private insurance, right? So it's almost the same as working with a state, but it's just a private company that they've contracted with. And a lot of women don't realize, oh my gosh, that's what gives me pay. And then they hear their employer saying like, yeah, you get 6 weeks. And it might even say that in there, but it's like, well, what's the policy max? Because I guarantee it's way longer than 6 weeks. I've never seen one that's only 6 weeks. So I always just say, if you're nationwide and you're reading your documents and you're trying to figure everything out, just always think about, is this pay or is this time off? And if your employer is being confusing, just put in an email. Hey, I'm reading through this. Is this section right here, is this pay or is this time off? It is that simple to just start bifurcating it.
So then for California specifically, because that's where we are and where you started, what are the different programs that we should be aware of in California specifically?
Absolutely. So, okay, under the same umbrella for maternity leave, pay and time off, okay? Because that's how we look at all of these. So let's talk about time off first. So for time off, you're going to be governed by something called PDL and CFRA and FMLA here in California, right? California Family Rights Act leave, Pregnancy Disability Leave, and Family Medical Leave Act.
Lots of acronyms.
Yes, I call it the alphabet soup because
Yeah.
it's a mess. It's a mess. And and those are just time off. They have nothing to do with money. And so you just need to make sure for each one, do I qualify for this benefit? And if you do, yes, 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 you meet the requirements, you can be out in California for 7 months, out from your job that your employer has to keep it for you. So I think a lot of women, their employers are not telling them that.
So, like, the employee policy can be one thing, but then the
Mhm.
state policy supersedes that.
Always. California legislation is always going to supersede whatever's in your employer documents.
Don't just take what your employer gives you at face value. Do your own homework, see what you're entitled to in your own state.
Absolutely.
Someone once told me that like the language of this is all wrong because they're not benefits. Like it's not a benefit, it's actually an entitlement. Like you are
Yes.
entitled to this. Like we have all been paying into EDD and into the system, like every time we run payroll, but also as an employee, every time you get a paycheck, like you're putting money into this system. And the purpose of that is exactly to receive these entitlements. So I think like the like when you change that mindset and you realize like, oh, this is something that like I paid for, that also kind of changes like the way that you approach it.
Absolutely. You've been making insurance premiums. It's like having a car. Your car gets totaled. Are you going to say, you know what, just give me like half the dollar amount for that car because I just like, I feel bad taking all of my insurance money? No, nobody's going to say that.
It's but yeah, it's our insurance policy. Okay, so then we talked about timing a bit. When should someone start, planning their leave?
I say before you get pregnant because there are certain, when we talk about pay, insurance, right? You're either paying into the EDD in California,
Mhm.
you're paying into an insurance policy, maybe your employer's paying for it or you're paying for it, but you can also get private insurance. It's called supplemental disability insurance policies. And again, you can go to the EDD. So the programs with the state are SDI and PFL. Those are what are going to pay you here in California through the state or through your employer. But the key is if you're going to get one yourself, you need to get it before you're pregnant. Because if you try to get one after you're pregnant, it won't cover the pregnancy. So, in terms of timing, I always say earlier is better. And especially if
Okay.
you're self employed, the
Yeah.
earliest or the
Yeah, I wish
earliest,
I
the
knew that.
best.
Yeah. What are some of the like most common mistakes that you see when people are, applying themselves?
Oh my gosh. Application mistakes. The list is long.
Best part of having you because you like we zoom and you like walk me through it because it's almost like trick questions.
Yeah, they're not intuitive. I mean, they
Yeah.
kind of sound like maybe I'm this, maybe I'm not, or maybe what should I put down for this date or that date? And it is kind of confusing. So I say this, the number one problem I see is women, let's say, filling something out wrong or getting denied benefits and not pushing back. That's probably not the response you were thinking about, but that is the
Mhm.
number one mistake I see. We write appeals for our clients like that, pages and pages, and then we'll see them get approved. But so many women, you have a new baby, you're tired, you're sleep deprived,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
struggling. Do you really want to go fight with, Lincoln Financial Insurance? No, nobody does. But I would say the biggest mistake is you leave money there. But I understand why, because we're so overburdened. But that's why our service exists, right? Is also to help women with those things.
What about, like spouses, adopted parents? You mentioned foster kids, like parents who are obviously not disabled. What are they eligible for?
They're still eligible for benefits. So if we talk about in California, still eligible for time off and still eligible for pay, right? So it just won't be, yeah, like men not giving birth, not going to have a doctor's note. Sorry, you're not going out on disability. They're going to be entitled to bonding benefits. So if they're looking in their employer documents, so they're wondering, what am I going to get from the state? It's always going to be a bonding pay benefit or a bonding leave benefit. One of the big things I would say I see partners, I would call them non-birthing partners, right? Because somehow they're associated with this child, but they're not the one giving birth. If you read your employer documents and it says something about primary parent or secondary parent, I always say this, who's to say you're not the primary parent?
Right.
They can't, an employer cannot specify, oh, a woman giving birth is the primary parent. It's just like primary parent is the person who's mainly the main caregiver, if you ever read these documents. So who's to say that the dad is not the main person
Really?
caregiving, and the mom went back to work. So I always say, ask for the primary benefits, even if you aren't like the mom, even if you're not the one that gave birth. Why not? What are they going to do? Come to your house and ask you, show me that you're not the primary caregiver? Like, and what do you have to do to prove that? Like, it's nebulous. But either way, from the state, you can get paid for bonding. In California, 12 other states also. But the other thing to look at too is before your partner gets pregnant, okay, if you're a dad, a surrogate parent, there's also something for these short term disability policies. Sometimes they'll have an FMLA rider. Okay. So a rider is like an additional piece of an insurance policy you can add on. Okay. And this FMLA rider that some policies have pays out like $500 to $600 a week just when you're out on FMLA. You don't have to give birth. You just have to say you're out on an FMLA leave to be bonding. So that's like $5,000 or $6,000, or what, $6,000 that you could get out for being out for the 12 weeks for just being at home bonding. And you could have one of these policies in place before your partner gets pregnant.
What about like what are the differences between self-employed individuals and then people who, have a traditional employer? Like,
Now, as self employed, you don't really care about the time off piece, right? Like we're always gonna have a job to come back to unless we're firing or discriminating against ourselves. And I've never seen a business owner want to do that. Always gonna be focused on the pay and the pay piece. And then what that really comes down to is understanding, if you're in California, how the state calculates your pay so you can make sure that you maximize all of your benefits and that you make sure you get all of them and you don't leave anything on the table.
another reason to like bring you in as early as possible is that you really helped me structure my payroll and like do all of the preparation necessary so that when I went on maternity leave I could get the maximum benefit available to me, and everything was like in place and I really didn't have to worry about anything once the baby came and I could just focus on her. That was hugely beneficial when you like walked me through all of that. I would have never known to do that on my own.
Right. And I'd also say as a business owner, everybody I've worked with pays themselves differently. It's not like a W-2 employee that works at Google or Dunder Mifflin or Old Navy where you're getting the same check every 2 weeks. It generally is not like that. And so when it comes down to business owners, it's all about maximizing the benefits and making sure the payroll is set up correctly so you can do that. And that all needs to be done ahead of time. Okay. And then second piece is keeping you eligible, because if you keep this fluctuating payroll and you keep doing these different things, you will not be eligible for
Right,
benefits from the state.
right.
So it's two
Yeah.
pieces: planning ahead, maximizing, and then keeping someone eligible. So when we go to file, everything is like press go or like press play and it goes through
And just
seamlessly.
seamlessly. Yes,
Yeah.
I can vouch for that. You know, you're a policy person. I'm a politics person too. And it is really crazy that the US is the only like high income country in the world without a federal paid family leave policy. And we can talk all day about the shortcomings of America's approach to this. What is your kind of position? Is there any sort of change to move the United States in the direction of other developed countries and how they, take care of parents?
I love this question and I have many thoughts on
Very
it.
loaded question.
And I'm always like, you know what? Whenever I decide like, okay, this is it. Like we've helped all these people. Like I definitely am gonna go into like policy back into policy work and advocate for change because, you know, there's so much that could be changed. Now, I always say this, we start at the federal level, right? As you pointed out, there's no federal leave. Like there's no paid family leave on the federal level. It's just FMLA. That is what it is. Okay, so I would say from the feds, when everybody gets all buck wild on Facebook comments on whatever news site you're on, to me feels like wasted energy because I think we can do more where we're at locally. Then you go to states. Okay, so now we see that there's 13 states that have implemented programs like California and 12 others. Okay, which means states now are starting to say, okay, feds aren't coming, we're going to do it for our communities. And so a lot of other states are modeling their programs after California. California is still the longest and the most pay. The second longest, I would say, and the second most pay is New Jersey. But beyond that, like the other states have different varying factors, right? And different varying lengths of time and pay. Then I would say beyond that is employers. Okay. And this is where I think as women, as an individual, I think sometimes it's hard. Our voice feels like we're not being heard or no one cares about us and nobody cares about moms and people are just get back and just figure it out. I mean, I see the comments on my Instagram, I see the DMs. I could put a whole show together on the crazy DMs I get about you chose to get pregnant. Now you figure it out, you know, or whatever the crazy. So I will say this with as us, as an individual, as a woman, who we work for, we have the most impact. So a lot of women will come to us and say, oh, my employer offers nothing. I'm like, that is, the world is your oyster. You have the most potential there. Like we help women all the time say, great, if you have no parental leave policy, no maternity policy, no nothing, it's your chance to propose something. And I think that can feel intimidating for a lot of women. It can feel nerve wracking to stand up, to advocate, to be seen, to be heard. And what's really unique is like we have a course. That's how we help a lot of women that are employees. But in this course, we have live office hours every week. Okay. So women come in there and they ask questions. My employer said this. I know I watched this module and this is the video, but my employer is like saying this. And we're like, actually, your employer's lying. Cite this section of the government code, push back, ask for this, you know? And then sometimes some women will say, hey, I really want additional time. And we'll kind of help them craft a request for their employer. And what we found out is all it takes is giving women the vocabulary to be able to do it. Because women are willing to stand up. But if we don't have the vocabulary to be able to advocate for ourselves and our babies, and the babies have no words, so they rely on us to speak up for them. If women have the words and they can see in these office hours, wait, that woman did it and that woman did it and she just did it. It's like the minute you see someone doing it, why not me? We even had one woman in our office hours decide, you know what, I'm going to stand up. She worked at a Fortune 5,000 company, but still like a really big company, and no policy, no nothing. And there was thousands of employees that worked there. And she said
Wow.
she reached out to her VP, or like the VP of the whole company and the head of HR, and put together a plan saying, hey, we don't have maternity benefits. I want to propose something. And they listened to her, okay? And they met with her. They put together a policy and now they got it. And so because this one woman spoke up, thousands of women at that company now have parental leave benefits.
Wow.
So I just say, don't wait for the feds. We could be waiting forever, ladies and gents, whoever's out there that feels like they want to advocate. People are doing it, and you just need to ask your employer, like, put something together, especially if you're a good employee. They love you, they value you, you're bringing value to the company. I mean, I've spoken at HR conferences. The number one concern HR has when a woman goes on maternity leave is that they're not going to come back. That's it. They're going to have to go rehire. It costs a lot of money. It's expensive. It's time consuming. If they know you're going to come back and they like you, you do a good job, and like you're a great employee, they will find a way to keep you, right? And they will come up with benefits as long as you have the vocabulary to ask for
Yeah,
them.
there are cultural differences also and ways that we operate. And America is very business friendly, and America is very like innovative and forward in that sense. And when it comes to um, social welfare systems or social
Yeah.
well-being, like we're just not, like we're weaker in those areas. So I
Yeah.
think your approach of um, addressing it in the way in the areas where we are strongest and most capable, and that really is like for the business sector. I think that's where you can probably really have a real impact. um
Yeah. And I, to that point, 100%. And if we go like a level deeper, when you're, for all those women that are like, maybe I could speak up, maybe I want to ask for something, think about what it is that this employer wants, right? Like put it in their terms. Always think about it as like the benefits to them. Like I always say that whenever it's a good negotiation, right? Like everybody, it's got to feel like a win-win. You can't just be like, I want more time with my baby. I feel robbed. The country sucks. I'm upset. Like, yes, yes, and yes to all of it. And don't say that to the employer when you're asking for, for what you want, right?
Because
Hey,
you're
I'm really
not
excited
asking
to
for a
come back.
favor. You're not
Yeah.
asking for a favor. That's another thing. Like we go in, there's this amazing book, Machiavelli for Women. Highly recommend.
Love
But
it.
we obviously go in and we're afraid to ask for a pay raise. Like men are just better at that, statistically speaking. And it's almost as if like we're asking for a favor, but you have to completely swap your mindset, because no, you are bringing value to this company and you need certain things in order to continue to contribute. And it's the same thing with having children. There's no more important job than nurturing and raising the next generation for all of society. And so it's not like you're doing me a favor. It's like it's a societal need, that we all need to contribute to. And so we need to just change, our perspective, our framing of it.
100%. And to your point, I always say this, we're not asking for permission, we are requesting. We are requesting benefits and entitlements and legislation and protected leave or whatever it is that we're already entitled to. So when we come into our employers, it's not, Mother, may I? Oh my goodness, I'm so nervous. And we're not going to come in like pit bulls either. You come in, hey, here's my leave request. I put everything together. I'd like to walk you through it. And then I'm happy to follow up with an email with this information as well. And like in our course, we give women a plug and play template. And it has all the like everything already in it. So they just plug in their dates, and we have a calculator inside the course where they can plug in their due date and how many weeks off before. And what if my doctor gives me a disability extension? And then do I want to take bonding right away? Yes or like, and it gives them all the dates so they can just go in and
And where can
submit it
people find this course?
on my website. So californiamaternityleave.com. Just take this template, make it yours, change some of the wording, whatever, and use it with your employer and make the request, right? Versus asking for permission.
That's great. That is so helpful. I'm going to include all of these links with everyone because, like, what an incredible resource. Okay, I want to move on now to my favorite part of these interviews. I like to do a quick mythbuster round.
Oh, I love it. Okay.
So I'm gonna throw some statements at you, and you tell me if it's fact or fiction.
Okay. All right.
Okay, ready? Maternity leave is automatically paid if you qualify.
Fiction. Because you could qualify for time off and you might not qualify for pay. Or you might qualify for pay and no time off. Right?
Okay, so it's not automatic, everyone.
Not automatic. Different legislation governing both buckets.
You can lose your job while you're on leave.
Yes. Truth. Truth. Sometimes you're being discriminated against, and I see that a lot. But more often than not, maybe you didn't qualify for the leave, and so they don't have to hold your job. Or your leave is going long and it's not protected anymore, and they can let you go. So it
More
depends.
reason to plan ahead.
Yes.
Okay, you need to be working full time to qualify for benefits.
And fiction, fiction. You don't have to be working for a year. You don't have to be working full time. In California, this is like the biggest that women are like, what?
Fathers don't qualify for paid family leave.
False. They do.
They sure
Fathers,
do.
non-birthing partners, foster parents. I even have a grandparent that's hired us to like help them take leave to be able to like,
Good.
yeah, for like a
Awesome.
very, very unique situation. Not always. So, but many, many, many options.
Yeah. Okay, and this is a question that I saw come up a lot, so I wanted to ask you. You need to use up all of your paid time off before taking maternity leave.
False, 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 false. When I see that, that's probably the biggest atrocity I see. There's legislation around what your employer can and cannot ask you to do with your time off. In California, pretty much the max they can even ask you to do is like a week. That's it. So if somebody's trying to get you to drain your PTO pot, they're not trying to do you any favors, and you should be pushing back.
Remember that. Okay,
Yes.
Diane, there's just so much information here. I cannot thank you enough for all that you have done for me, for everyone. It's just I'm beyond grateful, and thank you for sharing this with all of us. Is there anything, that you want to add before we go?
I don't think so, other than just thank you for having me. If you want to come follow along and get some like free resources, you can check us out on Instagram at California Maternity Leave. If somebody's in California or if somebody is nationwide and they're looking to like get our support for, navigate their employer benefits, their state, whatever's going on. Happy to help.
Yeah, I cannot recommend Diane and her team more highly. And congratulations on going national. So now you can reach so many more people. So absolutely
Uh,
check out those links and start planning early.
yes, plan early. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll speak to you soon.